2019, 7:30 p.m. We'll take roll call now. Trustee Miller.
Here.
Trustee Jones.
Present.
Trustee Abraham is absent. Mayor Thompson, absent. Trustee Senior.
Here.
Trustee Tierney.
Here.
Trustee Horn.
Here.
We have a quorum. With the absence of the mayor at this time, I will ask for a motion to select an acting chair to preside over tonight's meeting. Can I get a motion?
I'd like to make a motion for John Tierney to act as the chair of the meeting. Second.
Okay, it's been properly motioned by Trustee Horn, seconded by Trustee Miller, to select Trustee John Tierney as the acting chair to preside over tonight's meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, at this time, can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we all have a moment of silence, please? Okay, thank you. Item 2, public comments. The Village of Broadview encourages citizen input. Those wishing to address the village board under public comments must fill out the attached speaker request form and submit it to the village clerk prior to the start of the board meeting. The president will then call your name at the appropriate time. When addressing the village board, your remarks are limited to 3 minutes, please. When the president recognizes you, please state your name and address for the record and speak loudly. Your cooperation is greatly appreciated. Thank you. At this time, we ask that you silence all of your mobile or electronic devices. Mr. Chairman?
Okay, we have Dwayne Love. Want to come up to the podium, please? And then give us your address. I said your name correctly, right? Okay.
Okay, so I wanted to come and find out a little more information about the official notice that we found in our vehicles this week. It basically is very cryptic and just says sidewalk parking is a violation in the Cypress Code. And we haven't done anything different than we've done for 25 years, so I came to see if I could get some more specific information about this official notice.
I'm not sure. I haven't seen that.
I wasn't able to get much information when I called the police department either, so they suggested I come here.
Did you call the police department?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. You didn't get any response from them.
I didn't get
I can address
Okay.
that off record and make
I-
sure she gets anything she needs.
I might be able to clear it up,
Okay.
Jenny. The village code does not allow you to park cars across the residential sidewalks. So if your car, by any means, the front end or the back end is across the sidewalk, it's actually a code violation. And it probably was put out by the inspector and not the police department. So it probably would have been in the building department where it generated, not necessarily the police department, although I know the police officers are here. You guys didn't put it out, I don't think.
We have been putting those on cars.
You have been putting them on cars for that exact code violation, right?
Yes.
Okay, so, and that's basically what it is. So if you've got a driveway at your house, they expect your car to be all the way up in your driveway or in your garage. And it's just a notice as opposed to giving you a ticket. Legally, they could have given you a ticket, but they did give you a ticket. They gave you a notice instead, you know. And unfortunately, somebody didn't explain it to you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I guess the explanation, I understand that, thank you. My
Yeah.
question is what have we done different than we've done in the
It's not
Now
that you've
it's
done
being
anything
enforced.
different. It's a
It's just
matter of
now being
enforcement.
enforced.
It's a matter of enforcement. It's a matter of
Just a
enforcement.
reminder, there is a code.
Yeah.
So I guess what would be helpful to the residents is to get a little bit of clarity, much like we do with parking proximity to a fire hydrant or a stop sign. If our tires are on the sidewalk, if your fender, your bumper.
All of that.
Some bit of information would be helpful so that the whole town is in for tickets for things and we don't know what the proper,
One thing I would add to that is, without knowing why the police are putting it out, I do know that the seasons are getting ready to start changing. And one of the biggest issues that we have during the winter months when the snow hits the ground is the cars are parked across the sidewalk. And we do have the trackless now, so we do actually shovel the public sidewalks, and those cars tend to be cumbersome and in the way, and it creates all kinds of problems for our guys out there. So I know that's one of the issues.
more clarity on,
Yeah.
is it tires, is it,
It's any part of your
Tire.
car.
Car, any part of
It's
the
any
car.
part of the car.
okay, so I'm just saying I'm here.
Yeah.
So talking to neighbors, it's not clear
Yep.
what the actual
Okay.
violation is.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Eddie Fields.
afternoon.
Good evening.
Police Department, especially them. I wanted to know, the railroad crossing, is there something that somebody can do to make the ride going across it a little bit easier? And that maybe you can make some suggestion as to maybe they should put rubber there like they do have on 22nd Street when they're going across, so it's an easier ride to go across because it's very rough ride to go across the railroad crossing on 17th. And the Canopy bus stop, they were supposed to be installed last year at the Pace Bus Company along Roosevelt Road. That has not been done, and I would like to know the reason why. And the third question that I have is, the garbage cans are still being left out, sometime like Monday and Tuesday, garbage cans still left out on the sidewalks, on the curb. So if people would address that, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you
Okay.
very much, appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, public,
Is that it? Okay.
communications.
All right, thank you. That concludes our public comments. Next item is item 3, communications. I have a couple of them. First, we'll read the public safety open house. It's Thursday, September 26th, at 6 p.m. over at the fire department. Please join us for our annual open house, extrication fire department demonstration, police demonstrations, EMS emergency demonstration, safety education, building tours, vehicle tours, and our explorers will be out selling hot dogs, chips, and soda, and there will be a representative doing flu shots, and we will end the evening with a movie at Pioneer Park. This is the movie that we were going to originally have over at the National Night Out, but due to equipment failure, we had to postpone it to this evening. So again, September 26th at 6 p.m. Next, the mayor asked me to read the following notice. This is from the Broadview Missionary Baptist Church. Dear Mayor Thompson, Chief Kenny, and Chief Ugling, Saturday, July 21st, 2019, Broadview Police and Fire Department personnel provided escort service for the Broadview Missionary Baptist Church's 2019 Vacation Bible School Parade, our annual VBS kickoff event. We write to thank you as well as acknowledge the professionalism and fellowship provided by the officials who managed this task. As always, thank you for your continued support. Sincerely, Susan E. Dew, VBS Directress. All right. And that concludes communications for the evening. Next, item 4, consideration to approve the following minutes. Minutes from the August 19th, 2019 regular board meeting.
Can we get a
Motion.
motion and second? Motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly motioned by trustee Miller, seconded by trustee Horn. Mr. Chair, it's open for discussion.
Okay, open for discussion. Trustee Miller?
No questions.
Trustee Jones?
No comments.
Trustee Senior?
No comments.
Trustee Horn?
Nothing.
Okay, we need a motion.
Okay, roll call. Trustee Miller.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Abraham is absent. Trustee Senior.
Yes.
Trustee Tierney.
Can I vote?
You can vote, yes, sir.
Yes.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
And this carries 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-0. Next item. Item 5, consideration to approve expenditures. Grand total of all funds, $954,372.96.
I would like to make a motion to approve to pay the bills with the exception of Algae Ronan in the amount of $8,000 until a narrative is provided that identifies which legislation is actually applicable to Broadview and how do we measure success.
I second.
It's been properly motioned by trustee Horn and seconded by trustee Jones. Mr. Chair?
Okay, for discussion, trustee Miller?
Are you going to read the warrant list?
Oh, we
You want me to
gotta
read the
read the
warrant
warrant list, right. We're gonna have trustee Senior read the warrant list for us. She's on the finance committee and in lieu of the chairperson, trustee Abraham.
Al Warren Oil Company, Inc., $18,446.68. Alfred G. Ronan Ltd., $8,000. AT&T, $5,733.28. B&F Construction Code Services, $4,866.50. Baker Tilly Varcho Cruz LL, $13,287.50. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, $154,581.31. Broadview Police Cops Bureau, $2,500. Broadview Westchester Joint Water Agency, $174,714. Chicago Land Paving, $26,390.73. Commonwealth Edison, $4,783.14. Core and Main LP, $22,251. Delgado Law Group LLC, $15,534. Edwin Hancock Engineering is $28,502.88. Geno's Heating and Plumbing, Inc., $49,824. Group, Inc., $11,497.34. Hector Perez, $2,875. Heritage Broadview LLC, $124,224.85. Interior Investment LLC, $16,931.21. Law Office of Philip M. Fornaro, $13,414.08. Lincoln National Life Insurance, $7,123.95. Markham Real Estate, $27,407.71. Mercury System, $80,340.41. Orlando Law Service, $3,655. PRS Consulting LTD, $4,800. I'm getting lost here. Riley Construction, $91,286.98. Verizon Wireless, $4,410.70. West Cook County Solid Waste Agency is $9,102.55. Total of expenditures over $2,500 is $9,026, $926, $470.94. Total expenditures is $954, $372.96.
954,000.
Percentage of totals is 97%. Did I do it wrong?
Yeah, no.
I did it wrong? Okay, sorry. Electronic pavement vendors is Chase credit card, $11,317.28.
Is that the item that you had in question?
No, it's not. I made a motion to approve paying the bills with the exception of Algae Ronan in the amount of $8,000.
Okay,
So I still have to listen to it?
yeah,
Okay.
the accounts.
Okay, I'm sorry. Expended funds, by each account. General fund is $289,029.85. Garbage fund is $20,599.89. CDBG fund is $2,200. Roosevelt Road TIF fund is $27,407.71. 19th Street TIF is $124,224.85. Capital Project Fund is $236,835.96. Water and Sewage Fund is $2,504.70. Grand total is $954,372.96. Total for regular checks is $9,504.372.96.
Okay, discussion? Trustee Miller?
So just for clarity, I know trustee Horn wants to hold the $8,000 payment for Alfred Ronan. One of the items that we probably should have brought up was that we wanted an itemized bill before we approved the contract with him. So it might not be in our best interest to just hold his payments. You can keep requesting backup or supplemental documents to say what he's going out for when he goes down to the state. But I'm not sure if we're legally okay with holding his payments. And just for clarity, sometimes a lot of residents ask after meetings what certain bills are for. So if you guys ever have any questions, you can come and talk to anybody on the board. We should have backup for every bill that we discuss. There's invoices in the office for us to review as well. I'm gonna go out on a limb though and ask our finance department to give me information on Raleigh construction bills to let us know what we still have left to pay toward the village renovations. I think we've pretty much, yeah, we've paid them a couple times since I've been on the board. So it seems like we should be pretty close to being done with paying it up. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm not asking for it now, but just for you to send that to me. That's it.
Okay, trustee Jones?
With all due respect to my co-board member here, Alfred G. Ronan came to the village board at the genesis of the village encountering him or engaging with him. And he presented to the board at that time that he would be providing the documentation. He did that in a public forum in this very meeting right here and said that he would be providing information and data as to exactly what he's doing for the village of Broadview month to month. So, you know, and it was pointed out in a previous board meeting that one of the trustees specifically asked for this documentation and that was an issue, but I'll let that trustee talk about it. As it relates to a couple of other things here, Heritage Broadview, I'd like to direct this to Tom Hood, the budget officer, who I know has been involved with some of this stuff. This is not the Heritage from on 19th, is it? So exactly where are we with the payment to Heritage at this point? What's open-ended left? I know it's a large amount. We've reduced it significantly. Okay, do we know what we've already spent, given them already?
You know, I can ballpark pretty darn close. Just under 300,000.
So just so the public knows, Heritage LLC is the company that actually developed the area where O'Reilly's is, where the Chase Bank is, where the laundromat is, and that whole little subdivision over there right down from Starbucks. So that's who Heritage is. Markham Real Estate, the Dunkin' Donuts. So how much, what's the exposure that we still have with them? I know that we had, I thought it was under 100,000.
Will go away before he gets all his money. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I think he's still a little over 100,000 with only a couple years left. So he's been pretty regularly getting between 18 and 20,000 a year. It just took a while before the increment kicked in, and he started making anything back. Just to give you a little about Heritage, it took them $6 million. Is what the investment took to build what's there.
Yeah.
And what the TIF agreement is doing is basically paying the interest on that until a certain amount is met.
Yeah, I know that. I was just trying to figure out exactly where we were as it related to the payments to them.
Almost at the end for Dunkin' Donuts and just at the beginning at Heritage.
That's all I got,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Senior?
No, I don't have anything.
I don't have any questions.
I'll
Trustee
elaborate
Horn?
on my position. So with Algie Ronan at the last board meeting, I had made a statement that the information that they provide, in addition to their bill, they provide a narrative. It highlights all the legislation that's going through Congress and things of that nature. I found out doing a little research that that same information that is provided is also available on the general web, which means it's available to everybody. So my question is how do I know which legislation is directly applicable to Broadview, and how do we account for how it's going to impact Broadview? I don't know how to measure success, whether they did a good job or a bad job, if they're not highlighting for me what legislation is directly applicable to Broadview and how it may impact our village. So at the last board meeting, we did have a discussion about it, and I asked that that information would be highlighted. How do we define success, and that the information will be provided electronically to every board member. We do have a contract in place with them, but I still think it's in our best interest to have the information, so I'm prepared to delay payment if I can get the support until I get the information. I don't know how to make an informed decision going forward on whether or not we should renew a contract if we don't get the information. So again, it was stated at the last board meeting that at the very least, it will be provided electronically to everyone, and it hasn't been. So that's my position when it comes to Algae Ronan. I do have 2 additional questions, but I don't know if I should wait or if we should go back around again.
No, to go right now. We just went down the line.
Okay, the other 2 questions I had was in relation to the Chase credit card. There's a Chase credit card, there was invoices attached to it, it exceeds $11,000. But and all of the itemized items on that credit card was very self-explanatory. It made sense. It was per department, the police, the fire department, public works. There were 2 expenses on it. One was to the Carter Product Group, and another one was to Boats and Bags, and it was affiliated with the executive assistant. I'm not exactly sure what those expenses are, and if somebody could tell me what they are, it would be helpful. The 2 expenses, there were 2 line items specifically related to the Carter Product Group. I don't know if we're being billed twice because they're both in the amounts of $1,500, and there was no other information provided other than it was for the Carter Group.
And since you asked, I have found out. Those 2 items are separate. They relate specifically to the open house we had, T-shirts and bags that we gave away to the public that came in to the open house that night. Yes,
We spent $3,000 on T-shirts and bags?
that's my understanding, yes.
Okay. As it relates to Boats and Bags, I'm assuming Boats and Bags, the title implies it's bags also.
I'm assuming, yes.
We don't know specifically?
I don't know specifically, no.
Okay. It's already been paid, so it's not much we can do about it because it was charged to the credit card. But, thank you. That's all
That's
I
it?
have. Thanks.
I can relay that the credit card, the reason it's so high is it's 2 months' worth of payments and billing for us because they weren't sent out and they should have been.
Okay.
Okay, roll call vote.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to pay the bills as presented with the exception of the $8,000 for Algae Ronan. It was motioned by Horn, seconded by Jones. So this is what we're going to be voting on. Trustee Miller.
No.
Trustee Jones.
Yes.
Trustee Abraham is absent. Trustee Senior.
Yes.
Trustee Tierney.
No.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
And with the vote of 3-2, this does not pass. If anyone on the board would like to make a superseding motion to pay the bills,
You said 3-2?
well, 3-2 does not get you a pass.
3-2 does not for finances.
So at this point, we'll entertain another motion.
I'll make a superseding motion that we pay all the bills.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Tierney and seconded by Trustee Miller to pay all bills as presented.
Okay,
Second round of
again, or no?
discussions?
You know,
We're gonna say the
can we
same
have a
things.
discussion about it?
Yeah.
Because you got
Yeah,
another
go ahead.
motion out here. I just think that for the issue of the one
Excuse me,
bill.
Trustee Jones.
Go ahead.
We're gonna start discussion with
sorry.
Trustee
So you
Miller.
just gonna skip me?
I'm sorry.
While I understand what Trustee Horn is requesting, I just want us to make sure we're abiding by a contract. And if she did, which she did, request information that provides backup, we should receive that, and I'm not disputing that in one way at all. We should receive that information. However, when it's time to renew contract, that's something that we need to have written as lingo in the contract to say we don't want a general observation of what's going on in the U.S. We want everything specific to Broadview. I wasn't here when Mr. Ronan came in to give his presentation. That was prior to my joining the board. However, I was here to approve his contract, and that information is not in there. So I just want us to remember that before we put ourselves in any type of predicaments. That's it.
Okay. Trustee Jones?
Well, and I respectfully disagree. Mr. Ronan came and made the representation that he would provide the documentation in the board meeting to the general public on record. That's the first thing. The second thing is I don't think it would be prudent for us to be holding up everybody else's bill just because we didn't pay Mr. Ronan. Because what's going to happen is the vote is going to come out 3-2 again, I believe, and then nobody's going to get paid, as opposed to everybody but Ronan getting paid. And that's where I'm at with this. Right now, we can pay everybody but Mr. Ronan, if the board had voted to pay the bills. But since they didn't, we've got a motion to pay everybody. I, for one, am going to be voting against paying the bills as they're presented because I cannot support paying Mr. Ronan without him providing the documentation that he promised to provide. Whether it's in the contract or not, I do believe that the verbal commitment from him, we should be able to hold him accountable, hold his feet to the fire, and have him present that documentation, especially when we're spending tax dollars to pay this man to provide services specifically for the village of Broadview, and nothing that he's providing in his documentation is directly related to something that he's done for the village of Broadview, just a general statement of all the stuff that's going on downtown that you can find out, or at the state or at the federal level, that you can find out online anyway. So unless he's doing something specifically for us and advocating for the village of Broadview for our $8,000 that he's just asking us for, I cannot agree to paying this guy unless he can show me what it is he's done for us. He's been under contract with us for 2 years, and I can't quantify any one particular thing that he's done. And if I was him, I would be down here pounding on the table talking about, I've done this for you, I've done that for you, I've done that, but we haven't seen Mr. Ronan since he got his contract. He has not come back here one time to make any presentation to this board since he got the contract. So I can't support that. That's all I got to say.
Okay. Trustee Senior, any comment?
I don't, well, I feel like we should be able to go ahead and move forward and pay the bills. I don't think that, we shouldn't, go ahead and cover everything that's on here for the bills. It's not fair.
Yeah. Before I give you my, you done with your comments?
Yes.
Before I give you my comment, I'd like to ask the attorney to weigh in on this.
Yes, so the Illinois Local Government Prompt Payment Act does require bills to be paid within a certain period of time from when those bills are either received or approved. As I look at the bill listing, these invoices are for June and July of 2019. The Local Government Prompt Payment Act basically requires payment within 30 days. So these bills are already past that. It would be my suggestion that if the board has a concern as it relates to how Mr. Ronan is performing his services, that we send Mr. Ronan a letter asking for a detailed explanation, put that in writing, and that we move on from there, but that these bills, in consideration of the Local Government Prompt Payment Act, that these bills be paid. Otherwise, 1% interest can attach should he try to claim so.
Okay.
May I make a follow-up to the?
Oh, we're gonna go finish up here.
Okay.
My comment was, we've been paying these bills for Mr. Ronan for over a year now. You know,
2 years.
so why are we gonna stop now? If we were gonna ask and question it, it should have been done sooner. We're halfway through the contract, I believe. So why not just pay it and get a letter out to him and get some written response from him? That's my comment. Trustee Horn?
Yeah, two things. One is, to the attorney's point, if the bills are, 30 days, we need to pay unless we're going to be penalized 1%. Well, he submitted bills that are over 30 days. If we're being billed for June and July, this is now September. So if we're getting bills from June, he submitted the bill
And
from June just now.
If I may clarify, these are just the dates that are on the description of the invoice, so I
That's
don't
my
know
point.
when they were
Yeah,
received.
So he dated invoices that are back to June, and we're just now receiving them. And I'm not into all the politics. I don't know all the fancy lingo and all that. Yeah, I'm an engineer. So if something is not making sense, I'm just not about to roll with it. I've agreed to pay the bills consistently, including Algie Ronan, because I took the position that I just simply don't know enough. Perhaps we do need a lobbyist. Perhaps this is how villages function. he's providing us with good information, so be it. So I agreed to pay it because I was observing, taking a position of just simply learning and trying to identify what makes sense and what doesn't. At this present moment, 2 years later, I don't know how to define what success looks like. And that's a problem for me. Whether or not, you know, it's in a contract or not, when you go to work every day, your boss is looking at what you do. And if you're not performing well, adjustments need to be made regardless. And so I don't understand how if he submitted a bill with the June date, how we simply can't say, you know, Al, we're gonna hold off on payment for the next 30 days until you get us our information. And if he doesn't provide it again, then so be it. Maybe it'd be in the best interest of the village to continue just paying it and fulfilling the contract and not renewing it. But I would like to give him the opportunity to understand that we're serious and he's just not gonna get a check just because.
Well, I think after this discussion, he's gonna realize it's serious.
Again, it would be my suggestion that this bill be paid, that a letter be sent to Mr. Ronan asking if he can please provide more detail in his future invoices as well as his future narratives as it relates to how his work down in Springfield is specifically impacting Broadview and how his work just in general is specific to Broadview. Because as it stands, as Trustee Miller had pointed out, you guys are under a contract, and the contract, as I understand it, I haven't looked at the contract in quite a while, so you'll have to forgive me, but as I understand it, the contract does not specify that there needs to be specific detail as it relates to Broadview. So even if he made that statement to the board, you know, it didn't make it to the contract. And, you know, we should certainly look to either potentially amend the contract in the future, should the board continue on with the services with Mr. Ronan in the future, or, you know, look to potentially send him a letter now and ask him to, as a courtesy, start doing that, and as a service to the Village of Broadview, as part of his services, start doing that. So that would be my suggestion, just because otherwise,
He'll get
as
more
everyone
money.
as everyone has deserved, the bills may not
Yeah.
pass today, and then we've got a lot of vendors that will be late.
And if we don't pay him, he'll just get more money.
Oh, all of the vendors will.
Not necessarily,
Well, they could claim it, they don't have to,
not necessarily.
but they could certainly claim it.
Okay.
Could we go to roll call vote?
Can we,
He said-
can we
Yes,
go to
we're gonna
rebuttal?
take a roll
Can
call
we-
at this
because
time, per the
you-
chair's
you opened up
request.
the door to the
Okay, go
attorney,
ahead.
and
Well,
you
let's
know,
keep
you
it
don't let nobody
limited,
else
we gotta
talk.
get this meeting moving.
But,
you don't
well,
mind.
you know, there's a couple of things that need to be discussed here. First of all, the 30-day issue. And the 30-day issue starts at the time that we receive the bill, not the time that the services were rendered. And it's actually a 60-day window. It's not a 30-day window. 2 weeks ago, we didn't have these invoices. They were not presented to us 2 weeks ago, so we did not have them. So the board has no knowledge of anything prior to 2 weeks ago. That's the first thing. The second thing is his contract should have a cancellation or a termination clause in it. I would suggest that our village attorney take a look at that contract and advise us whether we do have the opportunity to terminate his services within a 30-day window or whatever the case may be. Because if it doesn't, then somebody didn't look at the contract very good in the first place. Let me keep going on to the rest. To your point, Mr. Chair, yeah, we've been paying these bills for a while, but if you find out you're doing something wrong, you're supposed to correct it. Just because we've been paying it does not mean we must continue to pay it if we find out that there's an error or something's not correct with it. If, in fact, we've been paying these invoices erroneously because we have not been getting the documentation that was promised by the very individual providing the services, then we have every right, I believe, to not pay the guy. That's where I stand with that. There's nothing, like I said, I'm not going to be voting for this, and there's no guarantee that he's going to get paid any additional money within the next 2 weeks. I'm sure that they can bring this back in 2 weeks at our next board meeting. If he doesn't get paid, I don't think he's going to be crying. He's already been paid over $100,000 by this village. And I don't know what he's done for the $100,000 that he's already been paid. But that's where I stand with this. Madam Attorney, and I don't know, you know, Ronan came in with our attorneys. You know, there is a relationship with the law offices that provide us services. So I don't know what the extent of that relationship is. I just know that they are familiar with each other very well. So that's something that everybody should know.
Mr.
Yes,
Chair,
go ahead.
if I may correct something. So first of all, our firm's relationship with anybody, we have relationships with lots of people, just like everybody else here does. That's
Ronan,
completely irrelevant. The law specifically states that bills are to be approved within 30 days of receipt and paid within 30 days of approval. So, again, we have 30 days from receipt to approve it, not 60. So I just want to make sure that that was clear in the record, and that is, I'm reading it directly from the Local Government Prompt Payment Act. Thank you.
It's been 2 weeks.
Trustee? Senior, comment?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, the only thing I would add is both trustees who voted no have paid them and voted yes in the past. Whether it's right or wrong, we know what he can do. It's in a contract. I wasn't here, I think, somebody else was here when they signed the contract. I'm just going by what we know and what we're doing. That's all I have. Yeah, anyone additional comment?
I don't want the village to incur additional expenses. So I'm debating on whether or not to just go ahead and pay all the bills just because we are in contract. But I am concerned about the attitude of, just my position again is regardless of what I did, I paid them because the argument was made, we need a lobbyist. The argument was made, we need a lobbyist to do X, Y, and Z on behalf of the village. And it did make sense. It does make sense to me to have a lobbyist lobbying on behalf of the village in downtown, considering how small we are. Somebody yelling at the table, do this on behalf of Broadview, consider Broadview, makes sense to me. But if we can't measure success and qualify the results of their performance, that's it. This is not about relationships, this is just data.
Right.
He will have
You
2
know,
weeks to provide the
She's
documentation.
got the floor, please.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, he's got
She's
2
got the
weeks.
floor.
Our board meeting is in 2 weeks.
So I would just make the argument that if they are willing to submit a bill, excuse me, dated in June, then they probably could wait a few more weeks and provide us with the information that we requested. And when they did come on board, I did ask what the report was going to consist of when they gave it to us, and it was communicated that they would clearly align what legislation was applicable to Broadview. The only thing I didn't ask for was their definition of success, and I should have. But with that being said, I'm gonna take a moment and just think. Thank you.
Can we get a roll call vote?
Roll call. Trustee Miller.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
No.
Trustee Abraham is absent. Trustee Senior.
Yes.
Trustee Tierney.
Yes.
Trustee Horn.
If I say no, then none of the people get paid?
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
And, Mr. Chair, that is a 4-to-1 vote. That means the bills are paid. Next item.
Committee reports.
Next item is item 6, committee reports. Committee reports are given at every
I'm
first
sorry.
meeting of the month.
Interject one statement.
First is the Street Sidewalks and Alleys Committee. Trustee Senior.
I would say that I did get a chance to go out and spend a day with Public Works. It was very informative and surprising, like, they really do a lot of work. I am going to, sit down with, Matt, and, after I sit with him, I will give you a date as to when I will, be able to, elaborate further on it.
You want to do a committee report, committee?
Yes, but I don't know when just
Okay.
yet.
Does that conclude your report? Does that conclude your report?
Yes, that
Okay,
concludes
thank you,
my
Trustee
report.
Senior. Next is the Finance Committee. Trustee Abraham, who is absent. Mr. Chair, in Trustee Abraham's absence, or instead, will anyone else like to report on the Finance Department, or the Finance Committee?
She stated there will be no finance meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
There hasn't been one rescheduled yet. As soon as she does, she'll get it out.
All right, very good. Thank you, sir. Next item, Business License Committee. Trustee Jones.
I have no report, and no licenses to report.
Thank you, Trustee. Next is the Fire Police and Civil Service Committee. Trustee Tierney.
I know the police department is still waiting for a replacement for Commander Cossack, and we also have a report from the fire department. Chief Kenny?
I'll just give you a quick update. We do have two candidates being processed right now. I will know more at our next board meeting to get that information. But just to, again, to elaborate on the public safety open house, one of the greatest things is that the police department and fire department work together on everything we do now. So come out and see both of us. We're gonna work together at the open house. It used to be just a fire department open house, but we've come together, and part of that is the making up of the movie that was missed and has shown right now. So we will move over to Pioneer Park, safely across the street, and have a movie that evening. And I know it's a school night, we're trying to do everything earlier in the evening so everyone can enjoy themselves. Part of open house is a bigger launch with our medical ID. Used to be that we use the vial of life that's on the refrigerator. We came to your house and got your information. Now it's something that travels with you all the time. It can be in your phone, it can be on a sticker that we give you. If you can't attend the open house, you are free to call the fire department and make an appointment. You can come in, or we can come to your house and help you set it up. Especially people who are bedridden at home, families that need assistance, we will come to you and do that. And also, we are still doing smoke detectors. So if you don't have smoke detectors and you need them in your home, or if your smoke detectors are old and they just, they yellow up, and after 10 years, they just don't work like they should. So call us, we'll come over, the program is still free, we'll install them for you. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief Kenny. Welcome back, and we missed you. Thank you, Trustee Tierney. Next is the Water, Drainage, and Health Committee, Trustee Miller.
I don't have a report.
Thank you, Trustee. Next is Building and Public Property, Trustee Horn.
Hi, everybody. So, David Upshaw and I had a conversation. There are several things to report on. Checkers closed permanently, and they closed permanently due to some internal operational issues with their business in general, so they won't be returning. Family Dollar has closed, as I don't know if some of you know, but Dollar Tree owns Family Dollar, and it owns several other businesses, but their brand is dwindling. They lost business, they shut down. It's hard for them to compete with businesses such as Target, Walmart. Amazon is killing everybody, so they're gone. The other thing is as it relates to the committee in general, I spoke with Mr. Upshaw about what type of approach he thinks we should take when it comes to reviewing all the ordinances and legislation specifically related to the buildings, properties, and vacant lots. So he's in the process right now of reviewing all ordinances. I asked him to share them with me as he reviews them so that we can bring them up in a public forum and share that information with you and get input on what the legislation should look like and if it is indeed updated and presented to the board. So I don't know when the next committee meeting will be. It'll be sooner than later, I will say within the next 6 weeks, and we'll have the legislation or ordinance that we're reviewing at that time to review with all of you. A lot of ordinances probably will be changing because of the senior housing. The other thing I want to just go on record saying was that in the past, I know some things was done a certain way, but there was an argument made about, department heads having credit cards so that they can function and do their jobs without being micromanaged. I just want to go on record saying that David Upshaw does a really good job at managing his department. He's very progressive and kind of, I think, ahead of the ball when it comes to a lot of things. So we are talking on a regular basis, and if I get any information or have any concerns, I'll be sure to share it. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Trustee. That concludes committee reports. Next item, item 7, new business. A resolution authorizing and approving the collective bargaining agreement with the Broadview Professional Firefighters Union, IAFF-AFFI Local 5129 for the firefighters and firefighter paramedics bargaining unit with the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Tierney, seconded by Trustee Senior. Mr. Chairman?
Okay, Trustee Miller, discussion?
Can we clarify for our residents what this actually means?
Madam Attorney, would you mind?
Absolutely. So what this means is that the Village of Broadview is entering into a collective bargaining agreement with the union that represents the firefighters. And if there's any questions in regards to the specifics of the agreement, the attorney that that helped negotiate the agreement is here today, as well as the fire chief, and both were very integral in getting this agreement negotiated. What the agreement essentially does is it establishes the wages, hours, and terms and conditions of employment as required by law once they unionized. Do you need more than that?
Any major changes to the prior agreement?
For that, I would defer to Attorney Julie Deemer.
I prepared an executive summary for you that outlines the changes to the contract. As is typical with most collective bargaining agreements, we always have the changes to the economics. So we have the wage increases, the duration of the contract. This is May 1st, 2017 through April 30th of 2020. There's a 2% wage increase effective May 1st, 2017. That's a 2.25% wage increase May 1st, 2018, and a 2.25% increase effective May 1st, 2019. And those wages are paid retroactively to the members, to the employees, the members of the union. You know, this contract actually goes back to 2017 for a couple of reasons. There had been several law firms that represented the village in these collective bargaining negotiations, which drew out that process significantly. And also, the firefighters are now represented by a different union. They decertified their prior union, which was SEIU, and are now represented by the International Association of Firefighters. The health insurance, their contribution is consistent with what every other employee represented and non-represented of the village pays, which is 12.5% towards the monthly premium for the plan in which they are enrolled. Their longevity increases, which was added to their pay at year 15 of service, is 0.25%. At 20 years, it's 0.5%, and 25 years, that's completion of each of those milestones, it's 0.75%. And that brings them into alignment with the police officer's contract. In addition to that, there were changes that were made operationally, things that the chief wanted to accomplish that she was able to accomplish by getting some language into the contract, things that she was able to also try to put parameters on to try to keep expenses in her department under control, such as for callbacks, such as for, you know, overtime and staffing related things. So most of those changes are the economics, and then the operational items that the chief also was looking to achieve in this contract. There's a lot of reiteration of language with respect to their firefighters' obligations to report injuries, comply with sickness, illness leaves, and so forth to try to make sure that, you know, we're running our department with as many firefighters as possible, and that we have them all healthy and working instead of off on some type of, you know, paid injury leave. I mean, certainly if you have an injury on duty, in the line of duty, you're entitled to that leave, but we want to do whatever we can to keep everybody healthy and able to report to work.
Thank you.
Is that it?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Well, I have nothing. She answered the question.
Trustee Senior?
I have no questions at this time.
Okay. I don't have any questions.
Nothing.
Trustee Horn? Nothing. Roll call
Okay,
vote.
at this time we'll have a roll call. Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Jones,
Aye.
Trustee Abraham is absent, Trustee Senior,
Yes.
Trustee Tierney,
Yes.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
And Mr. Chair, this carries 5-0. Thank you. Next item B, a resolution mourning the passing of Robert DJ Rob Earl Gray, Jr. for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Miller, seconded by Trustee Jones. Mr. Chairman?
Okay, this is a resolution mourning the passing of Robert DJ Rob Fair, Earl Gray, Jr. for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois. Discussion? No?
So I requested this resolution. I don't know if most people should know DJ Rob, mainly through his mom, Mrs. Gray. She's one of our crossing guards that actually crosses our elementary students. But she was supplemental in making sure his nieces and nephews had the best lifestyle ever. And he stepped up to kind of help out where his brother slacked at. But he passed untimely a couple weeks ago, and I know how much that affects a lot of our communities that actually used him as a DJ, and just the kids that grew up and that are growing up watching him. So once again, we've done this in the past, and if there's any resident that we need to honor because they've been a long-time resident and they pass away, just bring it to the board. It shouldn't be a personal thing for us, but this one kind of touched home for me, as well as probably anyone that lives on 16th Avenue, because everyone should know Miss Gray that lives on 16th, as well as Rob with the big dog. So thank you to the board for possibly passing the resolution. That's it.
Trustee Jones.
I don't have anything to add.
Trustee Senior.
I don't have anything.
Okay, at this time, I should have read it prior, but there's the resolution. Whereas the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois, is a duly organized and existing village created under the provisions of the laws of the State of Illinois and is now operating under the provisions of the Illinois Municipal Code and all laws mandatory thereof and supplementary thereto, with full powers to enact ordinances and adopt resolutions for the benefit of the residents of the village, and whereas the village president and the board of trustees, the village, are saddened to learn the death of Robert D.J. Rob Earl Gray Jr., and whereas Robert D.J. Rob Earl Gray Jr. was born on September 12, 1975 in Chicago, Illinois, at Cook County Hospital to Robert and Patricia Gray. Robert leaves two daughters, Ashadi and Robin Gray, two grandchildren, and one brother, Lee Keefe Jello Gray. He was educated at Lindop Elementary School in Broadview and attended Proviso East High School in Maywood. His last employment position was at Nicor, and he worked for AT&T for many years. And whereas Robert D.J. Rob Earl Gray Jr. began working for the Broadview Park District at the age of 14, where he developed his passion for music and began DJing in the Proviso Township. He was known for the setup and for having the best sound that came from his huge speakers. Well known in the neighborhood as DJ Rob, he was loved by everyone and was looked to as a leader. To summarize, Robert DJ Rob Earl Gray Jr. loved and laughed. He was an excellent employee and committed to serving others. And whereas, based on the foregoing, the corporate authorities have determined that it is necessary and appropriate to mourn the passing of Robert D.J. Rob Earl Gray Jr. and extend their sincere condolences to his family, friends, and all who knew him and loved him. Therefore, be it resolved that the President and the Village Board of Trustees in the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois, that's it. Trustee Horn, I'm sorry to cut
That's
you off.
okay, nothing.
Okay.
Okay. Before we take a roll call, I just want to add that one of the last gigs that DJ Rob performed was actually here at Village of Broadview at our Health and Wellness Fair. I don't remember the exact date. It had to be no more than 2.5 months ago, but he was well-liked in the community and just all around a generally good guy. So at this time, we'd like to take a roll call. Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yep.
Trustee Abraham is absent. Trustee Senior?
Yes.
Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
And this passes 5-0. Thank you. Next item, C, a motion to approve a block party permit request for the 1901 to 1929 Roosevelt area on, you know what, this is incorrect information. I'm so
I make a
motion
motion
to
to strike this from the agenda.
Second.
It's been motion properly to strike this from the agenda by Trustee Jones, seconded by Trustee Horn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, we'll move on to item 8, application for the authority to expend funds, none. Item 9, village clerk report. Just kind of in response to one of the questions by the earlier public comments, all of our ordinances through Sterling codifiers are listed on the website under the Building Department Village Code. Specific ordinances that you have trouble with or need clarification on, you can feel free to contact the village clerk's office at 708-681-3600. I'm at extension 271. I'll be happy to clarify that. But specifically for the the animal ordinances and this new parking ordinances that is being enforced, I will be posting in the lobby display bulletin board more detailed information, and it'll be highlighted so that anyone that has questions can go right to that and know exactly what's going on with these ordinances. Mr. Chairman, this is all I have for my report. Next item is the village president report.
Yeah, the mayor wanted me to pass along. In the spring, we passed a resolution for Suicide Prevention Month, making it September 1st to the 30th. Also pointing out the #1 obstacle in prevention is silence and just ignoring it. So make sure that you're aware, you got family members or neighbors, make sure you talk to them and just talk to them, have fun. See if anything's bothering them. The other one was, we have our last, where is it? We have our last shred day. It's gonna be October 19th from 9 o'clock to 1 p.m. Again, that's the last shred day, October 19th from 9 to 1. With that being said, I have no other business. Can we get a motion to adjourn?
Nope, not yet.
Oh, I'm
Just for
sorry.
the record, please, I'd like to make, mention that we did open the proceedings at 7:35 PM tonight. Now I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by trustee Jones, seconded by Tierney to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, we are hereby adjourned at 8:31 PM. Thank you.
Thank you. We, as far as that, maybe.
That's what I was,
The letter.
hit the hammer.
Oh.
I did already.